Jack was born with a mic in his hands. How did I get into doing this? What's my story? What is my story? Good question. Let's switch to chatting really quick as I play this. Um my story's a long story, like any story, you know. Um Jack was born with books of lyrics engraved on his skull. So my story is I in high school at I'm 26 now. When I was 15, or 16, in between 15 and 16, like December of my 16th year. Um my friends that I knew were wanted to make a song, and I was like, yo, could I write like a chorus for it? I kind of like writing poetry, or I'd like to be the kind of person that can write poetry. Jack's umbilical cord was actually an XLR. Oh god, that's funny. Yeah, so all those things are true. But if you don't want those things to be true, then I started writing for that, and then I decided I wanted to write a rap verse, but I didn't write it to the beat at all. I just wrote words that sort of rhymed sometimes and had no sense of rhythm or timing. And I tried to do it and record it when I was there, and it made no sense. It was so, I felt like, holy shit, what is this that I'm doing? This makes no sense. I don't know how to get me on time. I don't know how to do any of this. And I was with my friends who were making this song, and they were like, yo, this is Todd, actually, Dorks Not Dice. He was there. He was the one like recording us at his house. We went to his house. Oh, is this a game that I'm playing? I don't think that was actually the verse I wrote once I realized I needed to write on beat, which, you know, that's a rough one too, but at least I was on beat with that one. The one that started with, is this a game that I'm playing? Sounds good, Ale. Please record to it. Yeah, so finally made that work somehow. That's probably still up on Facebook somewhere. Maybe on private, I don't know. Todd's the one I think who uploaded it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then after that, my friend Todd, who's in here, he's Dorks Not Dice, he and myself, we started basically, like, I asked him if he would record videos with me to put up on Facebook, like our personal Facebook page, of us like doing acoustic, like Todd just plays some chord progression, and I basically wrote to it and rapped to it. And this was like these were like my first songs, were these little videos. And then eventually my brother Sam came in, and he started just like had a piece of paper on his leg, and he was just tapping to it to give some percussion. And we did cool stuff, and that was fun. And then, like, for example, we did where Todd sang what's that Wyclef Jean song? I'ma tell you, like Wu told me, cash was everything around me, dollar dollar bill, ya, dollar dollar bill, ya, dollar dollar bill, ya, dollar dollar bill, ya. It's like a song where the title is not immediately in the chorus. Yeah, I remember, like, we did stuff like that. We like covered that, and I would rap my own lyrics, you know. And then eventually I got around to working in GarageBand to make my own stuff. Sweetest Girl, yep. And so while I was making my own stuff in GarageBand, and not producing per se, I mean, I did try. I just used GarageBand loops, like, that were literally in GarageBand. And I did that. And I basically like recorded a demo, and it was like the first thing I'd ever recorded of myself by myself. And in the meantime, while I was doing that, I was part of this like group of people who all made music, and like we were in like a few years. Like Todd, I remember, did a acoustic thing with me for a contest at school. Then we also did a talent show and a battle of the bands as like a band called Deficit, and it was so sick. And we did like Sweetest Girl, I'm pretty sure. We did like a Linkin Park like cover where I got to be like Mike Shinoda. That was dude, that was a dream come true. And that I got to do that in high school. I got to play a song where I pretended to be Mike Shinoda. I was like the Mike Shinoda of the band when we were playing Dirt Off Your Shoulder. And that was fucking amazing. And so we did stuff like that, and so I learned my love of performing. And then once I got into college, one of the guys who I made music with in high school, he went to school in the same city as me in Philly, and so we kind of continued things there as a duo. and we eventually changed our name and stuff like that. And we played a lot of house shows and we won some talent shows. It was back when I was still kind of doing talent shows because it was still a good way to get exposure. So at least then you could get opportunities for those house shows. So I got a ton of performing experience, and throughout all that performing experience, I was like getting better at songwriting. I wanted to make songs. And then finally, I would say in the last 2 years of my college years, I finally got around to like making my own music that was my own. That was like, this is stuff that I put together by myself, totally by myself. And like, not like I made everything myself, but just like I curated it. So I got to choose all the beats myself, all the song concepts were on my own, the whole project was my own, the release was my own, all that good stuff. And through that time, I started getting, you know, opportunities that were a little bigger. I don't think I opened for anyone big in Philly. I didn't have an opportunity like that, but I was playing house shows on my own. I was getting featured in other people's sets at house shows, like on Drexel's campus where I went to school. And then my solo career just started kind of growing. And then the big checkpoint moment was at the end of college in the final year. I had played at the like school spring jam, big music festival in spring every year, but as a student act. So it was like in the carnival and it was kind of on the side and not a lot of people were there. But my last year at Drexel, I applied as like a professional local act who they had I had like a track record, I had an EPK I could give them, all that good stuff. So I got to open, and I opened for Steve Aoki and who else was there? It was Steve Aoki and somebody else. I forget the other person. But it was amazing opening for Steve Aoki at my school, and it was like I had a big crowd of people, particularly for what I was used to. I mean, I had amazing house shows, but this was cool because it was on a big stage. I was treated like a professional artist. It was dope. And that was really cool. And so that kind of like, that was the end of college when I was 22. So it's been about 4 years since then. And I would say in the last 4 years, I learned what it meant to take what I had discovered in high school and college, the talent and the skill and the passion, really, for the most part, that I discovered during that time, and turn it actually into a profession and a career, regardless of how much money it makes me or whatever, but just start treating it like a profession. And so that's what I did when I got back to DC, Maryland really, but performed in DC. And that's when I started opening for other artists. I remember my first big like opening show was for POS, who's on Rhyme Sayers Entertainment in Minneapolis. And he's like, you know, he's one of like the reasons that I write and rap the way I do. You know, it's the kind of thing where I don't listen to him a ton anymore, but he's very much so an influence, like how plenty of people are to me. And then, yeah, I haven't looked in the chat for a while, but my first, yeah. Oh, word. Kanye's, yeah, Spring Jam. Yeah, dude, in the rain. It was in the rain, that last concert was cool. But yeah, so then, yeah, so I got back home. I got these opportunities. I started to play bigger shows. Songbird in DC was a big one. I started playing in Baltimore. I opened for Dumbfounded in Baltimore. And my music started getting better. I started working with people. I got into situations where I spent way more money than I needed to. I went totally broke so fast because I just was so desperate. But it's okay. It was an amazing learning experience. But my music got a lot better in that time. That was like 3 years ago, I'd say, 4 years ago, right after I got back from college. And it was a big kind of awakening moment in terms of my career. And then I had my sold out headliner, and that was like 200 something people sold out, and that was like my own headlining show, and that was amazing. Then I opened for Wu-Tang in DC, which is the same year as that. That was 2018, so that was a huge year for like John Rome before I became what I am now. And then after that, it was kind of like, where do I go from there, you know? And I think I didn't have the infrastructure and the passion for everything I was doing in a way that felt authentic enough, that would allow me to do that, you know? Yeah. Whoa, I'm having a massive deja vu right now. Holy shit, I'm having such a deja vu. What the fuck? It's like something blasts off in your head. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so I did all that, and those were amazing accomplishments. But honestly, a lot was missing because what was starting to happen is I was starting to limit myself in a lot of ways. Like, my music career started to become a reason for me to feel like I couldn't see potential rather than I saw potential. So with the quarantine and COVID, I was really excited. I was kind of redefining myself as John Rome, just again. in the beginning of 2020, but the quarantine and having to do all that, it really shoved me to do some inner work. And I came out and I was like, I'm not even going to be John Rome anymore. I want to just be Jack to my friends. Jack in the Way's better. It's more appropriate to me. It just felt better. So now I'm here. Now I'm here learning all the things that I wanted to learn when I was 15. When I was 15, I wanted to do it all. Like, I wanted to have a stream. I wanted this when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, when I was like, I know how to edit photos. I know how to make little art things. I know how to do this, that. I want to make music. I wanted to do something where it could encapsulate all the things that I do. And now here I am doing it. This is literally the dream come true. Like, I can so obviously tell, like me from 10 years ago is like, holy fuck. You have a keyboard in front of you. You literally are using the same camera that you've had for 10 years, to stream. It's like such a fucking, it's that kind of dream come true where it's like, you look at it and you're like, how could this have not come true? Like, I imagined this so many times. And it was just a matter of me letting all my doubts go so that I could just make it happen. Not even make it happen, just let it happen. And that's what I'm doing now with my entire career. In terms of this being a career that sustains me between everything. Like, I realize it doesn't have to be what I think it's gotta be. I'm gonna make a living from my creativity, and that includes my freelance work, because so much creativity goes in my freelance work. It's all the same. It's all the same wonderful things that make me want to perform and do all that stuff I talked about with performances and get out of my comfort zone. Like, my creativity is like, I used to have this narrative about myself, and I mean it's still there, but it's not such a big deal, but where it's like, my problem is I'd never go out of my comfort zone, and that is not actually the problem. The problem is that I don't recognize when I go out of my comfort zone, and the ways in which I'm actually really good at going out of my comfort zone when I have things that I'm passionate about. And now I can just recognize what those are, and when I decide not to go out of my comfort zone, I don't have to be like, oh, I'm such a comfortable little failure or something. It's just so funny, but it's true. Like, I don't need that. I can, I know where I got myself plenty uncomfortable before because I was doing things that mattered to me, So anyway, so that's the story. And here I am doing all the stuff I like to do. I'm making music. I'm learning how to make beats or making beats. I'm gonna, learning some music theory. I'm going to be playing instruments for sure. Probably, singing, actually, not just rapping. I used to be like, oh, I could never sing, and now I sing on every song I have, basically. It's just, it feels good to be there, so yeah.